It's time for Mastering Your Money with Gary Mastrodonato.
My good friend Zig Ziglar once told me, Gary, people don't really care how much you know until they know how much you care about them.
Every week, Gary brings you up to date in the world of finance and gives you tried and true retirement tips from his office at the Masters Wealth Management Group in Oriental, North Carolina.
It's the decisions you make in life when you have a choice that will determine where you'll be in life when you no longer have a choice.
For 40 years, Gary has passionately served his clients, helping them retire with confidence.
You know, we treat all of our clients the absolute same. There are no minimums here at the Masters Wealth Management Group.
Now, let's put the wind in your financial sails and your success. Here he is, the master, Gary Mastrodonato.
Well, hi, everybody. Gary Mastrodonato on a very busy show this week, and we have a lot to talk about. Of course, interest rates way on the rise, as you've seen this past week. And keep your seatbelts on today. Buckle up, double tight, double strap. A couple of helmets. You might want to put a helmet under the helmet, the crash helmet under the insanity helmet. And we're going to talk about all the things you can do to protect yourself. There's not a lot. There's two main things you must do, and we're going to talk about those on today's program to protect your accounts from any further sell-off. I mean, it is going to be crazy out there over the next 12 to 15 months. Don't think any different. Not trying to scare you, trying to educate and inform you. That's what the show is all about. We got a very busy show today. We're going to be talking about interest rates, of course, how it affects your portfolio. The vibes out there amongst the financial world are many. If you listen to the talking heads, you hear different stories. They don't want you to leave the market. They want you to stay with it. But we'll tell a true story about a young lady, single mom, who started off January 1st with $525,000. And she didn't take my advice early on, and she sent me her statement yesterday. She said, I'm worried, very worried. And the account now reads $350,000, and she had most of her money all in one stock. We're going to talk about why that's not a good idea and what to do to protect your money in these markets right now on the Mastering Your Money show. But before, as always, we always take a pause to honor our heroes, our nation's military, our men and women that keep us safe here around, and of course our veterans. We got to thank you as well. You set the table. And now they're serving, and they're serving as well and proud, the U.S. military and our veterans. Thank you so much. We'll take a pause to honor you, as we have for the last 40 years on this radio show.
And I'm proud to be an American, where at least I know I'm free. And I won't forget the men who died, who gave that right to me. And I gladly stand up next to you and defend her still today. 'Cause there ain't no doubt I love this land. God bless the USA.
What an honor to hear Lee Greenwood sing and to honor Americans. You know, I get excited every time and a tear in my eye just about every time that song plays to honor our nation's military. We love what you do. We thank you. And, you know, the veterans, I saw one yesterday at the Piggly Wiggly right before our weekly survey, our price survey. And I'll tell you, the veteran had the World War II cap on. I had to pull him aside and say, thank you, sir. You don't see many World War II survivors today walking around, but he had the cap on. And oddly enough, about 30 minutes later at the hardware store, we see the Vietnam cap. And I love the fact that the boys are wearing their caps. And I like that. And I pull them aside and thank them for their service. They like it. I like it. And it makes us all feel proud. And no more proudness can I feel than my co-host right now to bring him on and honor with him. He served our country in many ways when he serves America on the radio for about 40 years as well. Mr. Jeff Shea. Jeff, welcome to the program, sir.
Gary, thank you so much. It's always a pleasure to serve under you, my friend. You know, we were talking off the air, and it's amazing. I mean, the changes that are happening here and how quickly they're happening with the Fed raising interest rates and so forth. I mean, you know, it was maybe about a year ago we had interest rates when you're, buying a house around 3%. And gosh, who knows how high they're going to go. In these inflationary times and with interest rates on the rise, I was wondering, how do you help people deal with rising interest rates and inflation and keep their money safe in this volatile market?
Well, that's the only choice we have right now is to keep the money safe. There's a lot of strategies you're going to hear on the shows. They're going to say, rising dividends, dividend stocks are good. Remember, dividends can be lowered, ladies and gentlemen, if there's no earnings. And if we're into an earnings squeeze, your income could be dropping at a time when you need it most. So we want to have guarantees for the next couple of years. We're going to talk about guarantees today. They're so crucial, so important, and it's a win-win. I mean, it's really a no-brainer. And of course, our new strategies on the win-win wealth strategy, the master plan, we're going to be talking about that and how to get a copy of Tom Wheelwright's win-win wealth strategy. We had Tom on the show recently. I had a long talk with him yesterday. He agreed to come back on the show in the next week or two to give us a hand here. And we're going to have 10 books today to give away on the win-win wealth strategy. And it's a great book from Tom Wheelwright, CPA. He's probably America's smartest CPA that I've ever spoken with. And he is he's the personal CPA to Robert Kiyosaki. Now, who is Robert Kiyosaki? Of course, all-time selling champion author, Rich Dad, Poor Dad. Robert Kiyosaki is on air often, especially on YouTube, and you can go listen to him almost nightly. He's putting out a new YouTube nightly because he is concerned about the marketplace as well. And we invited Robert to come on the show soon, and he agreed as well. So we'll have him on, and of course, Tom Wheelwright. So we got some great guests coming on to help support the message back to you. What is the message? Inflation. Inflation is killing us right now, and will continue to do so. Interest rates rose significantly this past week, and I'm telling you, you got to keep your seatbelts on, keep them double strapped. You might want to put an extra claw helmet under the crash helmet on top of the bike helmet or motorcycle helmet, whatever you got, because when I go to the Piggly Wiggly now, I'm in tri-helmet, okay? And people say, Gary, what's going on? I said, the interest rates and inflation killing us from all sides. I mean, they might as well hit you over the head with a hard object, because I'm telling you, interest rates will crush the economy. It'll come into a halt, and the market will pay the way as well. So the number to call right now, 252-249-0100. You've heard me tell this story a long time. The time to take action right now is right now. That's the time you want to take action, and we can help you immediately. You know, we've gotten several calls this past week. Normally when the radio show plays, it'll stir up a lot of activity, and we get a lot of phone calls from these shows, and we thank you for your interest. And the calls coming in are all kind of similarly, can you help me? I'm opening my statements, and thank God people are opening statements. Unfortunately, they're down 40, 50, 60, 70, 125,000. One yesterday I looked at. And it's sad because she's a single mom. 125,000 down since January 1st is not where you want to be when you're a single mom and you're all by yourself trying to make a living and raising a son all on your own. So the number to call, 252-249-0100. For complete, and I mean a complete head-to-toe financial physical. It's a win-win wealth strategy and a win-win health strategy we're going to talk to you about as well. You know, Jeffrey, right before the show, and you were on the call with me, my doctor's office called.
Yeah.
And I chimed in. Jeff heard it and was the local doctor in New Bern, my doctor from a long time. It's not Dr. Vinny Vimbatz. That's
I believe that was Rodney Dangerfield's doctor.
but I've got my own similar to Dr. Vinny Vimbatz, but he does a great job. And the assistant called and said, just a reminder, tomorrow you've got a 1 month follow-up with Dr. So-and-so. And then right after that, you got a wellness exam with another doctor, the wellness doctor. And I said, that's great, because they're doing that once a year now at the doctor's office. And I'd like that. It's a wellness exam. You're going in with no complaints. They're making sure that you're on track for what you're trying to achieve with blood work and all the different things they do to do the wellness exam. And it's all inclusive now in some healthcare programs, so that's pretty cool. But, you know, the takeaway from that is this. We ask you to do the same. We sit with our clients on a quarterly basis to review their situations, especially right now in these very tough markets. If you take our advice to keep your portfolio safe, to stop the bleeding on the way down, we can stop your bleeding immediately. We can help you. And that's the message I want people to understand when they call in. I close every phone call today, Jeffrey, with, sir or madam,
right.
I can help you, and I will help you. And I promise that I'll help you right now. So the number to call, 252-249-0100. I had a great conversation with Mr. Tom Wheelwright a few days ago, Jeffrey. And Tom is the author of the Win-Win Wealth Strategy. And invited him to come on the radio program, and he agreed in the next couple of weeks. He's very hard to get a hold of. He runs a very large CPA network. He's probably the smartest CPA in America, in my opinion, when it comes to strategy ideas. And you're going to love this, Jeffrey, because in chapter 10 of the book, the Win-Win book, because I asked him, I said, Tom, one time you and I, when I had you on the show, you talked about how I can buy a Ferrari and have Uncle Sam pay for it. And he said, yeah. He said, actually, that's chapter 10 in the book, Gary. I said, you're kidding, because I just got a copy of the book myself. But chapter 10 simply says, the win-win strategy, how to get the government to pay for your Ferrari. We use Ferrari in there, or he uses Ferrari in there, because that's kind of every guy's dream is to have a Ferrari at some point. Most people can't achieve it, but that's kind of the dream. But you can plug in anything. It could be a Rolls Royce. It could be a Chevy Impala. It could be any of your dream cars that you've waited for a lifetime. But he's going to show you how to get the government to pay for the Ferrari. And the reason that, what the lesson tells me is, Congress can raise taxes because it can persuade a sizable fraction of the populace that somebody else will pay the bill. So he can raise taxes on that factor. And our president's doing that right now, raising taxes, but asking other people to pay the bill. Who are the other people? Well, theoretically, people earning $400,000 or above. Well, we all know that's not the case. Who's actually paying the bill? All of Americans that work, that have a paycheck, is paying the bill. Well, Jeffrey, we're not doing that. Yes, we are, in the form of inflation. Inflation is up 8.5% this year alone, according to government stats. The real rate of inflation, according to mathematician stats, and I spoke to an actuary as well, he conferred, inflation's up about 24.8% in 2022 alone. Think about it, 24.8%. Majority of that is gas, and the majority of that is food. Food prices have skyrocketed. Many costs and services have skyrocketed. With the cost of everything skyrocketing and your account values dropping as you're trying to retire and save money, and interest rates have come up from the Fed chairman. He did a very nice job this week on killing us with a rate increase. Wait till they hit your loan market. I mean, interest rates, Jeffrey, we were talking about that before. Mortgages, Jeff, back January 1st or about a year ago were what, in the twos?
Yeah, they were like 2.5, something like that. And what have they gone 5 times that or 4 times that?
No, they're at least 4 right now.
Right,
Because,
right.
I looked before the interest rate rise, and they were at 7.78% for a 30-year.
Amazing.
I can assure you next week they'll be at least in the 8s.
Yeah.
Now, here's the interesting thing. You call your bank, as I did yesterday, the local bank.
Mm-hmm.
You call your bank and you ask them, what are the rates on the 1-year CD rate for a $100,000 deposit? And I use that number because that's supposed to be the marking point for the jumbo CD rate, for lack of a better term. Well, the jumbo rate, ladies and gentlemen, is 0.3%. Wow. 0.3%. Now, anyone ever hear of the rule of 72, Jeffrey? You know what that is?
I've heard of the rule of 72, but I want you to explain it again.
Okay. The rule of 72 says this. You take the rate of return on what you've got, on what you're getting on your money, and you multiply it by the number of years it would take to equal out 72. So, for example, if you're getting a 9% return, you multiply that by 8, that equals 72. So the lesson there is it takes 8 years to double a dollar bill from the time you deposit it to the time you take it out. 8 years later, at 9% interest compounded, it becomes $2. That $1 became 2. It took 8 years to do it. Conversely, if you're getting 12% a year times 6 years, that's 72. Well, 0.3, I did the math, it's 70 years. Do you have 70 years to double a dollar, folks? Most people do not. Okay, 70 years to double $1 on 0.3% to get it to 72. It's actually greater than that because I'm going to run that during the break here. I had a different number up, but I think it's in the hundreds. I think it's about 300 years is what it takes to get that $1 going into 2. So basically, you're not going to double money at 0.3%. So they're not raising the savings rates, interestingly enough, but they're raising the lending rates enough to squish you out of the market. Now, when the president said he's not going to raise taxes on people earning under $400,000 a year, that's a bunch of malarkey, number one. Number two, all of us, the big guy, the small guy, the medium guy, we're all in the inflationary period. We all pay the same prices going to the grocery store. Okay, if we're on minimum wage versus a very large salary, for those that are lucky enough to have that, you're still paying the same amount at the grocery store. Inflation has captured your money. And people today, sadly, are choosing between a full tank of gas or enough food on the table to feed the family. And I'm telling you, it's not a good time to be food shopping. And the price of gas right now, yes, it's come down a little bit over $1 a gallon. But bear in mind a couple things are happening. We got a political election coming up in November. Gas prices will probably continue to fall mysteriously through November or to November. Why is that? Because that's what you're going to remember when you walk into the voting polls. And the Democrats, believe it or not, at least they're polling stronger. I have no idea who's polling that way, but they're polling stronger for maybe the Democrats not losing the House or the Senate. And that could be horrific. I can tell you this, and Tom and I both agree, the CPA, If the Democrats maintain the House or the Senate, the market will probably go into a very deep spirally recession for a long time, a very serious one, because of the fact that there's going to be no limits on what they can do with raising taxes. And the goal is to get Americans to pay even more money than what we're paying now. That's the goal. And you got to have at least the Republicans on one side or the other, either in the House or the Senate, to at least have a stalemate so that you don't go any further than that. But I'm telling you, it's going to be nasty out there in November. You got to get out there and vote and make sure you cast your vote, do your homework, vote your heart and vote your head, and don't listen to all the yaya on TV. Just look at what you're doing on a day-to-day basis and see how that fits your lifestyle, and that's where you go from there. So what do we do? What do we do in this very tough market right now? Interest rates are rising. Inflation is huge. What do we do to protect our money? The first thing you got to do is we're going to stop the bleeding. We're going to stop the bleeding, meaning we're going to stop your losses in the market. No more losses in the market. Let's take a 2-year plan and let's guarantee for at least 2 years you're not going to lose a penny in the marketplace. We change our minds later. We have money available at our hands to put it back into the market if we wish. And maybe there's some good buying opportunities, and maybe they're not ready to be bought yet. Maybe 2 years is not enough time. So maybe 4 years is going to be the better time, or 6 years. We don't know how long this is going to last. All I can tell you is when I talk to Ray Dalio, he sees us in the late 30s all the way to the 40s, through the end of the 40s. And in that time frame in the marketplace, there was stagnation. The markets did not grow at all. So if you lost 30, 40, 50%, you never got that back for 6 or 7 years. Japan's waited 31 years to get theirs back, and they're still waiting. So people are used to having a market sell-off, and they still have the mindset, oh, I'm not too worried about it because the market should come back in 3 months, 6 months, 9 months. I don't need the money today. I'm not retiring until next year. Or some people have pushed the retirement dates back, sadly, because they cannot afford to retire today. And that's kind of sad because they had worked their whole life with a goal, and all of a sudden that goal cannot happen. On our plan, it could happen, and it can happen on time. So put yourself in a position to protect your money right now. You don't have to commit long term. 4 years, if you can commit 4 years, we can guarantee you a return of all your money and a profit. All your money, that's key, not part of it, all of it, and a profit. And depending on what the markets do, the profit could be bigger or smaller, but a profit is going to be in there for you. The number to call, 252-249-0100. Get the play money off the table. Your retirement money is not your play money. We got to protect it, and we got to protect it now. There's only one way to do that. We got to take action, and we got to take it today. What do? You pick up the phone, you call 252-249-0100. You're going to talk with me eventually. You're not going to sit with a junior colleague of mine. No. You're going to sit with the master. 41 years of experience. We got 11 of the best coaches in the United States. We got the whole team in place. I've been in business 41 years. They know me. I know them from having met them hundreds of times. And most of these people, or all, have been on the radio show many, many times. So the number to call, 252-249-0100. We've reopened our Oriental, North Carolina office. We're at 807 Broad Street, right across from the U.S. Post Office in downtown Oriental. You can meet with us in person. You can meet with us on the telephone on a Zoom call or just on a phone call. Whatever your pleasure, we will meet with you sooner rather than later and stop the bleeding ASAP. Number to call, 252-249-0100. We cannot make this any easier for you. Absolutely no charge to you. We got to protect ourselves, and we got to make a stand. But most importantly, protect your money. When you got your money protected, that's one less worry you need to worry about. We got enough to worry about already. Protect your money. Let's take that worry and risk off the table. 252-249-0100. First 10 callers today, by the way. A complimentary copy of Thomas Wheelwright's Win-Win Wealth Strategy. Tom Wheelwright, he writes a great book, and he's one of the smartest CPAs I've ever talked to in my 41-year history. We'll take a short break. When we come back, we're going to talk about some key components that you need to be ready for and what's around the corner. And part of that component does include keeping a seatbelt on and a helmet. We're not kidding when we say that, so don't go away. There's much more to come live right here on the Mastering Your Money Show.
Everything you do to me, honey, that's money. Money, 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 money. Money, 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 money.
We're back. Gary Mastrodonato, the Mastering Your Money Show continues on a rising interest rate show. Man, the Fed chairman knows how to raise the rate. Let me tell you that. These little babies are rising and more to come next month. You thought this month was bad. Wait till next month, man. And watch how these markets react to all of that and the interest rates and all the things around you. Life is changing. It's going to be changed for the next couple of years, so you got to be ready. The economy is changing. Life is changing. Be ready. Ladies and gentlemen, it's a whole new situation. It's a whole new era, and that's beginning today. So we've got the plan to help you get through this and to get through it with your head up high, and you don't have to change any of your own plans for retirement. You don't have to change your lifestyle plans. Nothing when you're on the Win-Win Wealth Strategy Master Plan. Wealth Strategy Win-Win. That's what it's all about. You win and your family wins. Okay, that's the win-win. And you get to achieve your goals and dreams without interruption. Why will a 1% interest rate hike in the next 6 months or another 2% going up change your plans for why? We've got the plan in place for you. We can protect your money and probably put a profit in your hand at the same time, even if the markets fall another 30, 40, 50%, which, by the way, is now some projections. And I'm going to tell you, nobody can project the market, but I'm in their corner. I'm going to agree with them on this, that we haven't seen anything yet. We're about in the third inning of a 9-inning game, and year to date, the market has fallen 23%, I believe, on the S&P, and it's fallen 32% on the NASDAQ, and more to come right now. You're going to see this market, in my opinion, drop another 30 to 40% in the next 6 months to a year or greater. You're going to see intermittent rallies going on. You're going to kind of have a relief rally for a week or so, and you're loosen your belt. You take your helmet off. You take your seat belts off. You begin to feel a little bit more relaxed, and then all of a sudden, ba-boom, there it comes again in a very big way. We haven't seen the major sell-offs yet, in my opinion. So many people think it's all over with. I think it's only beginning. And it's hard for companies to keep a profit. Watch what's going on in the economy. Watch the motion of the environment. Watch the flow of money. When you have companies, major companies, laying people off, there's a good sign that they're trying to protect themselves for what they see coming down the road. And they're pretty smart people running the companies in most cases, the honest ones. Not everybody's honest. We've had 2 or 3 CEOs in the last 6 months end up in the clinker for running very dishonest programs within their company, lying on balance sheets, lying on reports, kidding and fooling the professionals out there on Wall Street. You can go back. It doesn't take a long time to go back, but you can go back, 15 years, 20 years, and look at some of the larger companies that have went bust, some major companies that could never go bust, and all of a sudden they're going bust, or they have gone bust. And some of these companies are household names at the time. Names like Enron. Remember Enron, the oil company? Oh, yeah, we all do, Gary. Great oil company. I remember sitting at a meeting in Florida. I'll never forget this. It was a Rotary meeting. Enron was in town with their chairman of the board, and I sat next to him at the Rotary meeting, and their president, and they were about to give a big presentation in Florida, in South Florida, Lighthouse Point to be exact, and they were giving a big presentation later on that day, and they had the business people at the Rotary salivating based on what they're going to be presenting. Almost 9 months from the date of that presentation, Enron totally closed down. People were caught smuggling, lying, padding balance sheets, et cetera, et cetera. Global Crossing, the big phone company, another one. Strong company, strong buys all the way across the board. WorldCom, I would never forget this one. WorldCom, Citibank, Smith Barney, the chief underwriters, the chief telecommunications analyst for WorldCom, 3 months before they took that company with another big stock issue that sold out, by the way, in 24 hours, unheard of in the billions of dollars. WorldCom totally bust 10 months later. Stock worth zero. GE, one of the original founding companies on the New York Stock Exchange, and the last of the 30 Dow stocks to be kicked off the Dow last year or the year before, that stock went from hundreds of dollars a share all the way down to $3 or $4 a share at the low. I'll never forget this. The chief financial officer for GE, I won't mention names, but became a client and came in with 90% of his net worth in that one stock, in that GE stock. And I pleaded with him to liquidate some of that stock and diversify. And he was against it, and he finally took some off the table and moved it around a little bit. And the same story with Dell Computer. The CFO there, same thing, came in with all the net worth in Dell. They got their stock options. They retired. They took their big bonuses, and away they went, happy as a clam, and got them to diversify as well. I'm telling you, both these people came in to give me a hug about 2 years later when the stocks fell. GE, no longer on the Dow Jones 30. GE had a reverse stock split. Reverse meaning I think they did a 10 or a 12 for 1 stock share split. So when you look at GE now, it's looking at like $60 a share, and you go, well, that's not so bad, Gary. Yeah, but it was $4 or $5 when they did that split from a $200 and $300 a share company. Texaco, another one, taken over by some other companies. But they were sadly taken over, and they even admit later they're sorry they took that under their belt. Chrysler, we all know Chrysler, gone bust. Lehman Brothers, one of the largest financial investment banking firms on Wall Street for years, a 100-year history. During the 2000, 2008, 7, 8, and 9 bust, out of business. General Motors went from big numbers down to small, had to be saved by the government. Government infused billions of dollars into that company to bring them and turn them around. Without that, they'd be underwater. Bear Stearns, another one. There's utility companies, 3 of the top 10 largest life insurance companies in the U.S., gone bust. Ladies and gentlemen, any company can go bust. Apple Computer is an example. People love Apple. They say, but it's Apple. Any company can go down. Apple has good news on the table that I see. I don't see anything negative at all there. But on the same token, any company is subjective to a downfall. So what do we do? How do we protect our money? We think we're in good stocks. We think we're diversified. We listen to Kathy Woods, whose ARK investment programs led the country in the last 10 years. They're now the worst performing ETFs in the marketplace, and they keep falling because no stocks are holding a rally any further. Nobody. And they keep changing stocks. You watch her buy list, and then her sell list changes every couple of weeks. And, 1 week her stock is on the buy list, and the next week it's on the sell list, and then a month later it's back on the buy list. I mean, God bless that lady. She's done a good job, but she has vision that's probably not ready for what we're doing right now. Long term, yes. 7, 8, 9, 10 years, yes. She always talks about a 5-year time horizon. Sure, why not? I got a 4-year plan, ladies and gentlemen, that will guarantee you the return of all of your money and a profit, regardless of what the market does. If the market does well, you'll make more. Market does poorly, you'll lose none, but you'll still make a profit, and you'll get some return on your money. Guaranteed in 4 years. Not many people can say that. Guaranteed. And a pretty handsome profit at that. Probably better than what you'll get in the markets, even if the markets turned around and did something special. But I'm telling you this, we got to protect your money right now. We got to protect your money, and we got to do it sharp, and we got to do it fast. And I'm going to show you how to do that when you come in for your complimentary master plan review. We call it the Win-Win Master Plan Review. It's a win-win wealth strategy. It's new. We just implemented this. And I'm telling you, it's amazing. People that have seen it love it, and they're jumping on board as quick as possible. We offer this to you, the Win-Win Wealth Strategy, and a copy of Tom Wheelwright's Win-Win Wealth Strategy book. The first 10 callers right now at area code 252-249-0100. You get a copy of the book. You get some input from the book from Tom Wheelwright. You get the master plan all tied into that. Remember the master plan, lifetime income. You can't outlive. You can't lose money in your principal. And remember the master plan. All master plans close with an offering of a plan for long-term care. If you're healthy, we go down plan A. If you're not healthy, we go down plan B. Either plan will have a plan for long-term care. If you don't have a plan for long-term care today in your portfolio, you don't have a retirement plan, period. And if you're ready to retire, you don't need to wait 3, 4, 5, or 6 more years. Why? First of all, I think if you wait 2 more years, you're going to be in worse shape than you are today. So that's number one. Number two, let's stop the bleeding right now. Let's retire today if that's your goal. Let's not push it out 2 years. Pushing it out 2 years may be worse than it is today if you just took the bullet. But let's stop the bleeding today. Let's put some money back in your account through the strategies we use. Let's use tax strategies to prevent the erosion of your accounts because taxes are rising. Let's use the master's wealth strategies to protect your money and to guarantee an income that you cannot outlive for the rest of your life and the rest of your spouse's life. And let's close that out with a plan for long-term care. We do that for you, and we do it for free, complimentary. There is no charge to you ever. Yes, we get paid. We don't work for free. People say, well, Gary, if you're doing all this for stuff for free, how do you get paid? We get paid from the vendors if you do business with us. And you're not obligated to do any business with me. But if you do business, we get paid. Well, enough people decide to do business with the master because they see rationality. They see 41 years of experience, and they see that we've got 12 or 11 or 12 of the finest coaches in the United States, including Dr. Larry Kotlikoff, our nation's guru on maximizing your Social Security. Why would you ever want to do that? I talked to a poor lady last night at the club, and she's the hostess, and I'm telling you, she's 62. They don't want to turn on her Social Security because they told her she didn't work the last few quarters. That's a bunch of baloney. She's got the quarters in. She's all good to go. So we're going to call Dr. K after the show today and ask him directly, what are they telling this poor person? Because she needs money, and they had to move out of their home, and she's teamed up with her daughter now and living there. And it's kind of sad to see what people have to do to get through these struggles on a day-to-day basis in this kind of an economy that was kind of fabricated, and we didn't have to be here in this economy, but here we are. And now as you look at the news, Jeffrey, you got Putin being very serious about using some nuclear power if the West gets involved in Kiev. And, he came out yesterday on a special 2-hour television interview. He doesn't do those very often. So, he's coming out to do something very serious, and that can explode on the other end and cause real havoc in the markets around the world with energy and some other problems as well. And when you get into the nuclear area, that's a whole nother game we don't want to be close to. So let's pull our strings in. Let's keep ourselves safe. Let's protect our money. Let's put ourselves in the driver's position of the car on the Nuremberg. Let's enjoy the ride, if you will. And keep your belts on, keep your seatbelts on, keep your helmets on. It's going to be that rough, especially after what the Fed chairman did this past week and what he's about to do next month at the same time. What do? You call Gary Mastrodonato. 41 years of experience, 11 of the finest coaches in the industry, and with a wealth strategy from Tom Wheelwright and the Win-Win Wealth Strategy book. And the first 10 callers today get a copy of Tom's book, The Win-Win Wealth Strategy. I'm going to ask Tom if he'll sign these copies for us before he sends them out, and I believe he will. It's a pleasure. We're going to have him on the radio show very soon as well, along with Robert Kiyosaki. He is Robert's personal CPA, and Robert tells you that in the book, and they travel together when they give talks around the world. And Tom is a very, very sharp CPA. Have to admit, the sharpest I've ever met in my 41-year career. So give us a call at 252-249-0100. What do you get? You get a complete financial physical. You get a fiscal physical from the master, myself personally. You're going to get the health wellness strategy, which is your overall report, and you're going to get a lifetime income strategy, and you're going to get an immediate strategy of how to stop the bleeding today. You don't need to wait 3 months or 6 months for this market to drop further. It's not going to come back, folks, right now. It's not going to come back. Not when you're raising rates like this. Interest rates, mortgage rates are going to be up in the 8s pretty soon. They're already at 7 7/8. And after the interest rate rise this week, it's going to be up over 8% in the very near future. Banks don't waste any time to raise the rates. They sure take their time raising the savings rates, however. Call your local bank and ask them for that 1-year CD rate. It'll knock you on your floor. You don't want to do that. So the number to call, 252-249-0100. Let us help you to help yourself. Right now, we got the tools in place. We got 41 years of experience. We got the team in place. We know how to do this. We've retired people for 41 years. So this is easy game play for us. I've never seen a market this bad or an economy this bad in my 41 years. And I talked to some of the top people in the world in the economic industry, and they all say the same thing. Gary, I've never seen it this bad in my whole life. There's a message there. The message is we got to protect ourselves, and that's the message. So protect yourself today. The number to call, 252-249-0100. Myself and my entire team, you get the whole team at no charge to you, 252-249-0100, 252-249-0100, or www.masterswealth.com. And Jeffrey, you're putting our shows on the podcast. How do people find this podcast?
Well, Gary, it's really quite simple. All you've got to do is go to wherever you get your podcast, search Gary Mastrodonato, Mastering Your Money, and it'll be right there. Among them, iTunes, of course. We've got Stitcher, Spotify, you name it. We'll be there with a new edition of Mastering Your Money. As a matter of fact, Gary, when I get in my car, that's all that plays in my car anymore is Mastering Your Money. And I turned on my phone the other night to listen to a little music to go to bed. It was Mastering Your Money. You're everywhere.
I like being everywhere, and we need to be everywhere. So it is a great spot to be in your ear right now and pay attention to what we're doing. 252-249-0100. We'll take a short break. When we come back, we're going to give you the master plan with the win-win strategy. You don't want to miss it. We lay it out on the table. We lay out the plan. And we lay it out how to get there and what it's going to cost you to get this plan. The lifetime income plan with the long-term care plan. You cannot outlive this plan, period. 252-249-0100. We'll take a short break. We'll be right back with more of the Master Your Money program.
Hey, Mr. President, all you congressmen too, you got me frustrated, and I don't know what to do. I'm trying to make a living. I can't save a cent. It takes all of my money just to eat and pay my rent. I got the blues. Got those inflation blues. Yes, I have.
We're back. Gary Mastrodonato, the Master Your Money program continues. And, over the weekend, this past weekend, we had a lot of calls out from our radio program, and we thank you for the calls and the interest, of course. But the biggest concern was people are losing and opening their statements and seeing the big drop in their accounts, especially when their August statements have hit. And pretty soon, they're going to be seeing that September statement come through, which is going to be even less rosy than the August statement, because September has been a very tough month in the marketplace as well. So what do you do? I mean, how long will you need your portfolio to continue to drop before you want to take some action? And do you think that you're going to follow the talking heads on television, or even from your own advisor that's giving you the advice, let's stay the course, things will come back? Well, I'm telling you, ladies and gentlemen, I've been in the business 41 years. It's different this time, and it's not the first time you're going to hear that today from anybody or anybody else on this radio program, but it is different this time. What makes it different? What makes it different is we have a whole set of circumstances that have never happened before, including a major deficit and printing money to the extent that money can no longer be printed. There's nothing behind another printed dollar. And you can't print food, and you can't print energy, and you can't print gas, and you can't print gas and oil for this winter to keep your homes warm, and you can't print what you put on the table. That's got to come from money. And, the money is not there, and people are hurting right now. And especially when your 401ks and your life savings are going down right before your eyes. And it hurts me to see that, because we counsel you every single radio show for the last almost 2 years now to take caution. We do that because we see the winds coming from that direction. It's hurricane season right now. We got some big hurricanes online that hit southern Florida this week, and they're in the radar. You see them coming. You know they're coming. The trajectories are there. People are taking cautious. Some are, and some don't believe how bad it will be. And the same with this game of investing. We're telling you right now, let's be safe. If you're safe and we're wrong, you're still right. Think about that. If you make some changes and go to safety, and the markets all of a sudden for some reason would turn around, which do not hold your breath on that one, it's different. But all of a sudden the markets turn around and rise, well, guess what? You haven't lost any money. You haven't lost anything. And I spoke to somebody yesterday that says, I'm not selling in a down market right now. I'm waiting for this to come back. I said, my friend, kindly understand something. It may take 10 years to come back or more. Talk to your friends in Japan, where they retired 30 years ago and are still waiting for the retirement accounts to come back. They had the worst retirement in their lifetime, and that does not have to be you, folks. So what do you do? What do you do when you want to know how long you're going to need for your portfolio to provide for you, because it's going to be a lifetime? And your cash distributions and inflation, of course, are totally impacting your portfolio right now. Inflation, double digits. The government says 8.4. It's really double-digit inflation when you count gas and energy. And you think energy is coming down in price, ladies and gentlemen, don't be misled, because once this election is over in the month of November, you're going to watch gas prices mysteriously turn right back around and start to climb higher than you've ever seen before, because of inflation and other intricacies on the table that go into the monetary establishment of what makes the economy tick and run. So what do? You pick up the phone right now. The best move you can make today is to call area code 252-249-0100 and ask for the Masters 20-minute complimentary win-win presentation, the 20-minute win-win presentation, the master plan. We will go in 20 minutes, a quick overview as to what you can expect, and I'll send you some information to complete, and you send it back ASAP, and we can protect your money immediately. We can protect it, stop the bleeding, immediately. Think of it as a gunshot wound. One of my good friends works in the emergency ward, and she handles gunshot wounds in Chicago. And I'll tell you, there's a lot of gunshot wounds in Chicago. And I said, what's the first thing you guys do on a gunshot wound? She goes, we got to stop the bleeding. That's number one. And then we got to remove the bullets if they're there in harm's way. But we got to stop the bleeding, number one, because the bleeding will kill you. And the bleeding can stop here immediately when we put your money into safety ASAP. So give us a call at 252-249-0100. Myself and my entire trained team, Dr. Larry Kotlikoff, our Social Security expert, Tom Hegna, our distribution specialist, Nick Murray, our investment behavioral coach. We've got Elaine Floyd, our Social Security analyst as well. We have Denise Appleby, one of our retirement specialists. We got Ed Slott, our IRA guru specialist. We have the whole team working for us. We've got 12 of the best coaches in the United States. Let us work for you and let us stop your bleeding immediately and put you back on the road so you can sleep again at night. And we'll inject your money with some instant cash if we can, if you qualify age-wise. And if it fits your portfolio suitability, we will go through that and carefully examine it for you. And there's not one plan for everybody, but there's a basic core of what we're trying to do right now, and that is to protect your money. That's what we're trying to do. We want to protect your retirement money, period. No other way to put it. And I think you want it protected too. I think you've had enough downtrends. I think you've seen enough sell-offs in the marketplace. You might see a couple of short bounces, but those bounces are fool's gold because there is nothing to really generate and hold a rally at this point. Nothing can hold the rally. There's too much underlying problems going on in the economy that have to play out that are going to be much worse a year from now than they are today. So we may go through this all of 2023. It's not going to go away. The talking heads are going to tell you different. We're telling you, let's be safe. Let's not be sorry. The talking heads don't want you to move money from their managed accounts because if you move money, they lose income because they're paid on the assets under management. You start pulling money out and giving it to us, they're losing money. They're going to talk you out of it. They're going to say, why? Why do that? Why do that? Because you want to retire and stay retired. That's why I do that. So the number to call, 252-249-0100. You know, Jeffrey, we talk weekly or every show in the last 40 years pretty much protecting people's retirement money. And it's never been more important than it has been right now. And you know, Jeff, you're so kind because you take our shows on a weekly basis and put them up not only on the website, but you put them on the podcast, which is great. And people can go play our podcast at their will. I play them this weekend driving around town.
Yeah.
I know, Jeffrey, you play them as well, yes?
Oh, absolutely. When I get in my car, that's the only, I mean, literally, people might think I'm making this up, Gary, but really the only thing that plays in my car is Mastering Your Money. It's on a podcasting, and I don't want to get rid of it. And then I was going to sleep the other night. I thought I'd listen to something on my phone. There's Mastering Your Money as well, too. So I am tuned in, but it's any place you get your podcast. Simply go there and search Gary Mastrodonato, Mastering Your Money, and you're bound to find it. We got a lot of good episodes up there.
You know, it's funny, when my son Eric was here living,
right.
He would come down on a Saturday or Friday night and hear the show and hear me listen. He goes, Dad, why do you listen to that show all the time?
It's your
I said,
favorite.
because I learn
Yeah.
every time I play it back, I learn something.
Yeah,
I
me
learn
too.
about what I should be saying and what I should not be saying. I learn about how I can help get the message off to you a little bit more clearer. I work for you, ladies and gentlemen. You're my listener. You're my pleasure. You're why I'm here every day. Because if I wanted to, I can be in the south of Florida somewhere on my sailboat somewhere and sailing around and not worry about anything. But no, God gave me a gift. He gave me a gift to communicate. He gave me a gift to keep your money safe, and I'm here doing what I have to do. This is my calling, and I'm here for you. So 252-249-0100. Let's take a short break, Jeffrey. When we come back, we'll talk about the long-term care plan everybody should have to make it a complete retirement plan. More to come live on the Mastering Your Money Show. Don't go away. The best is yet to come. We'll be right back.
You know, science says what goes up must come down. So what does that mean for your retirement? Are you prepared for ups and downs to your retirement income? In retirement, you've got to prepare for two large threats, taxes and inflation. At Masters Wealth Management Group, we help our clients by creating retirement plans for an uncertain world. Remember, the United States has seen its inflation rate fluctuate dramatically over the last 40 years. Top federal income tax rates held steady at 70% for 3 decades, dipped below 30% in 1990, and are now around 40%. The stock market has also experienced ups and downs over the years. And if you haven't reevaluated your goals for the future, your risk tolerance level, or your plans to minimize taxes, it's probably a good time for us to talk.
At Masters Wealth Management Group, we're here to help answer your questions and discuss your retirement plans. And to help you get on the right path, we'll start with a no-obligation complimentary conversation. To schedule yours, call 252-249-0100 or go online to masterswealth.com.
Well, hi, everybody. Gary Mastrodonato from the Masters Wealth Management Group. Hey, have you ever been on an airplane and run into turbulence? So what did you do? Did you open the door and jump out? So why not just bail? The same can be said when it comes to market volatility. Should you jump out of the market every time there's a drop? The market has never gone to zero, so maybe we should stop referring to market crashes and instead say market turbulence. Turbulence can be very scary, but it's the uncertainty that can bother people most. And in recent uncertainty is making you feel uncomfortable, and there's a good chance you aren't confident in your current retirement plan. So get organized, gather financial statements from all of your accounts, and get a second opinion on the state of your portfolio. This will also tell you if your risk tolerance matches your risk exposure, or if you would be better suited for an investment that is guaranteed to protect you from future market turbulence. Remember, whether you're flying or retiring, it's normal to hit some turbulence from time to time, but let's talk before you jump. Call me, Gary Mastrodonato, at 252-249-0100, or on my website, you can visit at masterswealth.com.
Honey, you're so money. You got a country road, Carolina soul. Baby, you're just so homegrown.
We're back, Gary Mastrodonato's Mastering Your Money program. A beautiful program today, talking about a lot of other items here, but primarily inflation, keeping your money safer. What do you do when you're opening those statements? We're trying to keep your 401k safe, folks. We're trying to keep your savings safe. We want you to retire and be comfortable and happy and healthy. It's hard to be healthy when you're losing 30 or 40% of your retirement plan that you worked 40 years for, 100,000 hours, and 30, 40% of that right out the window in the last 6 months. Not good, not healthy, and it may not come back because it's different this time. Sadly, Americans are used to having this thing bounce back in a year or two, but not anymore. This is a different market at a different time with different causes of what's causing this to drop. Remember that. You heard it right here from the master, and we hear it from our coaches and the people that we interview on the radio program, some very smart people, and of course, experience. You cannot take away experience from what we've gone through in the last 41 years of our practice. We have seen different formats of what this is all about. When you're dealing in this kind of market, you want to be dealing with experience and experience only, not from what somebody read from a book 4 years ago, and they've been in the business 5 years. They couldn't tell you what happened 10 years ago or in 2016, 2017. They couldn't tell you what happened in 2008, 9, and 10. 2007, 8, 9, and 10, 2000, 2001, and 2, 1987, the market crash. I was a branch manager in New York, and all my brokers were in the office around me on that October 19th, 1987. Won't forget the day. My mother was yelling at me because I missed her birthday on the 18th. I was off in Annapolis at the boat show. Shouldn't have been there, but Mama gave it to me good. But that afternoon, and we watched the market fall 24% in one afternoon, and it was a devastating sell-off for America, one of the biggest stock and bond crashes. You know what's interesting in this marketplace is that the bonds have gone down along with the stocks because interest rates have risen so much. Mortgages right now, Jeffrey, 8.5% on the fixed and rising. And unfortunately, the market and the housing markets are beginning to be shooken as well, and that's a problem we got to keep focus on at the same time, because when houses start to fall in price, they're not selling. But unfortunately, with inflation, rents are rising, and it's kind of scrubbing people out of the markets there. You got to live somewhere. Food rising, you have to eat. Prices of fuel are going to be rising again. You have to drive and get to places. And everything is kind of moving in at the same time. And simultaneously, you're losing money in your 401k and savings in the markets. And that altogether is killing Americans, and it's not good. So we need to help keep your money safe and make your health even better, because you don't need to worry about it. So what do? You pick up the phone right now. You call 252-249-0100. That's 252-249-0100. Myself and my entire team of 12 coaches, the very best in the U.S., will work together to help keep your money safer in this very, very difficult time. We can stop the bleeding and put you on the road to recovery and to put some extra money in your account immediately to help retrace some of those down trends in the marketplace. 252-249-0100. We'll go through it all with you. We'll show you how it all works, and then we do wrap it up with a plan for long-term care, because unfortunately through all of this mess, through inflation and through rising food prices and gas and dropping stock and bond prices and rising interest rates and all the things going on around us, people are getting ill. People are needing money for long-term care. Alzheimer's continues. Cancer continues. Trends in healthcare need to be paid for, and they normally come out of our accounts. And ladies and gentlemen, you got less to take out of your account to pay for long-term care. We can only get it back through this kind of plan. We got to make up for what we're losing, and we can do it this way by creating money that wasn't there before. And it's our master plan for long-term care. And it's the same plan the master has in his portfolio. Let me share quickly how it works. You got to be healthy for what we're talking about. If you're healthy, that's plan 1. If you're not healthy, we have plan 2. So we have a plan for both parties, if you're healthy or not healthy. And admittedly, if you're healthy, the plan for plan 1 is going to be a better plan in the long term. But it doesn't matter as long as you do one or the other to protect your money and protect your income in the time of need for long-term care. If we all live long enough, we're all going to need some long-term care assistance. That's called morbidity. When you can't do 2 of 6 of your daily activities, it's called morbidity. Mortality, everybody dies. Morbidity is 10 times greater than mortality before mortality sets in. So before you die, there's a 10 times greater chance you're going to go through a 2 of 6 scenario, which means there's a 10 times greater chance you're going to run out of money in your retirement plan while you or your spouse are still alive. And we don't want that to happen. So we need to protect you on all sides. So what do? We're going to pick up the phone right now and call 252-249-0100. We want the 20-minute win-win master plan, the 20-minute win-win master plan appointment. Our staff on call will know what you're talking about, and they'll set you up a time where for 20 minutes, give us 20 minutes, we'll give you 40 years of experience in 20 minutes. And then we can go from there to make sure that we can help you out. But at the end of the day, if you're healthy, we put money into a plan. If you die, the money goes to your spouse or your family, income tax free. If you live and you can't do 2 of 6 of the daily activities that we're talking about, the money is paid to you. It's paid to you in cash. The death benefit comes to you in your hand in the position of a cash payment. You think about that, it's unbelievable, because most people think they're never going to collect on their life insurance. Their families will. But in this case, you're going to collect on your life insurance. So if you die, it goes to the family. If you live, it comes to you, 2 out of 6. And if you live and don't need the 2 of 6 and everything is cool after 20 years, guess what? We give you 100% of all your money back, a money-back guarantee. That's a win-win-win. We talk about the win-win plan. There's your win-win plan for long-term care. And remember, ladies and gentlemen, you hear me say this every week on the program. If you don't have a retirement plan that has a plan for long-term care, you do not have a retirement plan, period. We will leave the message at that. Number to call, 252-249-0100. That's 252-249-0100. It's been a pleasure to be with you today. I'm Gary Mastrodonato, founder and chairman of the Masters Wealth Management Group. Reopened offices now at 807 Broad Street, right across from the U.S. Post Office in downtown Oriental, North Carolina. Along with myself and my esteemed co-host, Jeff Shade, in the other room, and all of our coaches, and Eric and Tracy and Christina and Rebecca and Tricia and all the people on our team, we thank you. We'll work for you. We will help you save your money and stop the bleeding. Give us a call right now at 252-249-0100. I'll close with this. Heavenly Father, please guide us today to help others to help themselves, to keep their money safer and to put them out of harm's way financially. In Jesus' name we pray. Have a great week, everybody. We'll see you all again next weekend right here live on the Mastering Your Money Show.
No statements made during the Mastering Your Money Show shall constitute tax, legal, or accounting advice. You should consult your own legal or tax professional on your individual information. Past performance is not a guarantee of future results. No investment strategy, including asset allocation or diversification, guarantees a profit or the avoidance of loss.